What's going on, everybody, and welcome to the Other Side of the Firewall podcast, where we talk about the latest and greatest in cybersecurity news, as well as we highlight those movers and shakers and glass ceiling breakers, those people of color who've made it to the other side of the proverbial firewall. My name is Ryan Williams, and as always, I'm joined by Shannon Tynes.
What's up? What's up?
What's going on? And Chris Abacon.
What's going on, everybody?
What is going on? So welcome to Monday's episode. So if you're not used to the show, if you're a new subscriber, so Monday and Tuesday are topics. Wednesday, we have a discussion. Thursdays is Ask a CISSP. Those are running about every other week now, just because of scheduling. And then Fridays, everything else. So movies, books, games, all that good stuff. So we had a very in-depth conversation about Deadpool and Wolverine without any spoilers, I might add. So check that one out from last week. But without further ado, I give it to Shannon.
All right, everybody. So this article actually comes from usatoday.com, written by Emily DeLetter. And the title of this one is 2.9 billion with a B records, including social security numbers stolen and data hack, what to know. All right. So this was one of those things where even though we talk about this every week, right? Like this is something that when you hear 2.9 billion with a B, you're like, my gosh, you know, like that's a lot of sensitive information, right? That many records. Not to say it's all in America, right? Because it was different countries that were affected by this as well, right? Like it was the UK was affected as well. It wasn't just here in America, but there was an enormous amount of what do you call that? Like sensitive information that was hacked in a data breach. So it may have already been released. Actually, they're confirming it's been released on an online marketplace. And it's one of those things where they tell you what's included in it. And this was 277 gigs of data, right? So that is a huge amount of information, right? So this is names, address histories, relatives, social security numbers, and it goes back at least 3 decades, right? So we're talking 30 years worth, right? And so when you look in this article, when you look at it, they actually have this spot you can go to do like a social security number, like check to see if you were actually hacked. And I was feeling good about myself, right? Because I worked my way back is what I did, right? So I started when you go to this database they have, you put in the state, you put in your information, the state, the year you were born. And I started working back from places I was signed. I was like, nope. But as I got to earlier in my career, there I am. There's my information, right? There it is, right? Back to this state, I ended up showing up. So like I was one of the ones that was hit. But for me, like I have a credit lock, you know what I mean, that I do through the different organizations, TransUnion, Equifax, TransUnion, Experian, Equifax. So like I have a credit free, so nothing is going to happen anyway without them reaching out to me and saying, hey, is this pretty much verifying, is this you? You know what I mean? If I want to do any changes or anything like that, I have to log in and take the freeze off for anything to be even ran against my social security number. But like I said, folks, I was feeling myself there for a little while, but eventually I was got to. But like I mentioned, 77 gigs of data, 2.9 billion records. And like I said, it's not just us, right? Like it was the UK as well. Canada was also in this. And the thing, here's what's kind of surprising about this, right? And I guess I shouldn't say surprising, but like for the amount of money we see when it's come to these ransomware attacks and things of that nature, and I'm not saying this is ransomware, but this was on sale on the dark web for $3.5 million. So I'm saying million with an M, not with a B, right? But that figure just seemed low for the amount of information that they had, right? So like maybe I just don't know the going rate for criminals, but I thought it would be higher, right? It could be one of those things where, you know, they're people are coming after them now. They got the DOJ on their butts. The FBI is going after them and whatnot. So they're like, I'm trying to get whatever I can and get up out of here, right? But yeah, this was a lot of information, folks. So like if you should happen, like I said, this article is usatoday.com. If you should happen to be interested to look up your information and see if they got you, go ahead and look it up. And again, because I was military, I knew there was a chance. Like they probably got me, right? Like I've had so many different breaches being in the military. We had was it OPM?
OPM breach.
OPM breach. Yeah, we're cooked, guys.
Yeah.
We really got it.
I kind of figured I was out there anyway, but I was, like I said, I was feeling myself as I worked my way back through my different duty assignments, and I was like, they got me. But
yeah,
Chris, what's your thoughts on this, man?
I mean, my first thoughts reading through the article was really the scope of it. They say, and I quote, this data includes names, addresses, histories, relatives, and social security numbers dating back at least 3 decades.
Mm-hmm.
So that's, I'm assuming, dead or alive, right?
Yeah.
So the social security numbers that they can utilize and potentially exploit with this is it's just massive. I mean, really huge. So the first thing I honestly did after reading this article, I actually checked my freaking credit score, right? I went on whatever credit score reporting mechanism you've got and see if anything's fishy, right? But first thing as well is when I checked my bank account, right? I made sure that my passwords are updated. They even say this in the article, make sure your antivirus is stuff and all that stuff is good to go. Make sure your passwords are updated on your bank accounts. I've got a password manager through Apple, so I don't really know my passwords by heart anymore. I just have Apple randomly generate them for me, right? Because it's just easier. And it's honestly gibberish, right? And that's hard to guess. I love that. And make sure multi-factor authentication is enabled, right? So that way they contact you to some degree if any account creation is being done on your behalf and it's not authorized. And also they do mention being careful with email and social media accounts, right? So if you're putting out a lot of information, you're posting every day, you can get a lot of attackers, or if you're not a private account, right? Or if, ideally no social media, but, like Shannon here. But if you do have social media, just be careful what you're posting. Too much post after the fact, not where you're at, right? Don't post in real time, because a lot of information can be gathered. Like what's a common thing? Oh, your passwords, name of your dog, and your birthday, right? Usually some of those numbers are included into your password, right? So just be cognizant of that. Be cognizant of what you post. Update your bank accounts, and really take care of your own, right? Make sure that your friends and family, notify them as well. Just, hey, and if you've got, people that are, maybe older in your family that, you work on behalf of them, right? Just make sure all that stuff's good to go. And that's kind of my first thoughts.
No, absolutely. So yeah, I'm not as brave as Shannon is. I'm not gonna check that part. I already know they got me.
Yeah.
But before I go too far, so we have our first ad. It's internal though, so don't get too excited. But this could be you. So, did you know that the team here has nearly 70 years of combined IT and cybersecurity experience? That's right. You're getting insights and discussions from seasoned professionals who have been in the trenches and on the front lines of cybersecurity. Our podcast is growing fast with thousands of downloads, hundreds of unique listeners, and rapidly expanding YouTube audience. Every week, we reach a diverse group of listeners from career starters and journeymen and women to C-suite executives and senior leaders in the field. Whether you're just starting out or you're a seasoned pro, our content is tailored to provide value across all experience levels. If you're a brand or marketer looking to connect with a highly engaged and niche audience in the cybersecurity and IT space, now's the perfect time to partner with us. Whether you're looking for a mid-row, pre-row, or end-row, social media shout-outs or newsletter placements, we've got you covered. The Other Side of the Firewall podcast is a proud product of RAM Cyber Solutions and Assessments, LLC. Interested in becoming a sponsor? Reach out to us via the email address, theothersideofthefw@gmail.com. There you go. See, It's just that simple. That could be you, but I would be better at it because it's yours.
Nice.
But so yeah, I know I've been compromised. I get text messages at least 1 or 2 a week that specifically have my name in it and my address saying, "Hey, do you want solar? Do you want financing? Do you want what X, Y, and Z?" They're pretty well crafted. So I know I've been gotten. It could be Mr. Cooper, it could be OPM, it could be anything in between, to include this. So what I do now is obviously I report phishing, I report spam. But when someone calls me, and any type of marketer, salesman, or whatever, I cut them off quick, just because I already know it's probably something due to compromise, or they're just trying to sell me something I don't want anyway. So the other day I tried to make a purchase. Like I tried to use a digital wallet at the dealership because they did my tires, my brakes, alignment, etc. So it was pretty decent sized purchase. It didn't go through the first time. So I was like, okay, my bank has my back. They'll probably send me a text, and they didn't. So I was like, oh, that was weird. So maybe it was just an error with the reader. So I took out my card, stuck in the machine. It went through that time. I get home. I then get a call from my quote unquote bank saying that they're fraud department. It actually was my bank, but because I'm so wired that it's automatically fraud, he was like, yes, I just need I need you to give me your card number because it looks like your card was used at the Wesley Chapel dealership, yada, 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 or give me your social. And I was like, is there a third option? Because I'm not giving you either.
Yeah.
And he kind of was taken aback. He was kind of taken
Yeah.
aback by it.
Yeah.
He was like, "Well, I'm going to send you a code, and if you could tell me what the code is." So he messaged me. Which if you've gotten to that, if you're that good, then you probably get me. But like, you had to have known where I was at, what I was doing,
Mhm.
and then gone through the rigmarole and send me the SMS. You were an expert.
At that point, you deserve it, right? Like, you've worked
Yeah.
hard enough.
Yeah, like you've earned this.
You've earned my
So, like,
identity, sir.
Yeah. So then I gave him to it, and
Yeah.
then he was like, "Okay, cool. It's not fraudulent. We'll make sure that it goes through." I was like, "Well, I'm already gone." So I made a joke. I was like, "I'm already gone, so you don't have to." And he laughed it off because I felt kind of bad because my wife was looking at me. She was like, "Why would you talk to him like that?" I was like, "Well, I was trying to be a jerk. I just didn't know." I was like, not today. But yeah, so I just don't trust anything. I don't trust any links. I don't trust any emails. I don't trust anything. I go to the source. So I'm hyper paranoid. And just like Chris said, because I have so many social media platforms, I'm just like, anytime somebody sends me a connection request, I scrutinize the mess out of it. And I'm just like, who is this person? How many friends do they have? How many connections do they have? How many mutuals do they have? What industry are they in?
Mhm.
I just like do 1,000 things before I click the okay, let's connect button. And chances are they're trying to sell me something too. So, which I don't want. Stop trying to sell me stuff. As I just tried to sell ad space on our podcast. So I'm a hypocrite, but I'm a very careful hypocrite. All right. So just be cautious. Be hyper vigilant at all the things, and you'll be a lot safer. And then just like Chris said, cut on your two-factor multi-factor as a backup as well. But
And that's becoming way more prominent too. Like the multi-factor authentication, like you have a lot more places that are implementing that.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? It's becoming much more the standard than what it used to be.
no, yeah, especially with like Google and Microsoft Authenticator.
Mhm.
So now I
Yep.
have
We've got like passkeys now too. You can use
Yep,
your biometrics,
passkeys.
which is awesome. I think.
Yeah. So I wind up in the morning, I get like 3 or 4 SMSs because I'm logging into email here, email there, Slack, and, all the other stuff. So everybody's sending me text messages. So it takes like a good 5 minutes to log in to everything in the morning, which would have drove me crazy if I still worked for the Department of Defense.
Let me go outside real quick. Oh, because I'm in this skiff. I'm checking my phone. Oh, I can write down my. Okay, great.
And you know what's crazy about it is that when that does happen, like those codes, like they're usually no longer than 10 minutes too, right? So depending on how far you got to walk, like it's just like, oh man. So like it's to the point where I don't keep my phone in my car anymore. Like they have like storage places for them, like in the front of the building. So like I'm like, okay, I got to go to that part right there and then come back, but you got to badge in and do all this stuff to get deep into the belly. You know what I mean? But yeah, it's
and it sucks
for security.
Yeah, but it's funny. Like sometimes that building or wherever the phone box is, the Verde cages and everything, that place usually has crappy reception too. So you got to walk another 15 feet just make sure you're outside. And you're like,
that is true.
Yeah.
That is true. So Ryan, I wanted to bring up something that you said too as well, right? So you were talking about like getting a different text that have certain information in it. So like there are sometimes we signed up for that too, right? Like if you want to sign up for something, like if you're not paying attention, you just leave the checkbox checked that says you want to receive promotional information or whatever.
Oh, right.
Like you've already filled out all that information. So it may not necessarily be that you're hacked. I'm not saying that's not the case, right? Because there are times that's definitely the case, but it could be what you signed up for anyway, right? And you're just like, I left that box checked. I don't care. Get me to whatever it is I'm trying to get into right now and sign up for, right? Like, or I saw this car in the mall that I'm like, man, I wouldn't mind driving a Maserati. You know what I mean? Let me go ahead and sign up for that. Like you can really win it in the drawing, right? Nobody ever wins those drawings. Don't do that. Nobody wins the car.
They're collecting data. Data.
Exactly.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Because I don't usually do that in the malls or whatever, but I have done that at AFI several times to win. Like, remember when it was hard to get an Xbox or PS5? Oh, man, I fell out so many of those raffles.
They got you.
They got me. Yeah. So I just treat everything as though it's compromised. So it takes you a little bit longer to get to where you want to get to. But at the end of the day, you just have to do the best you can.
Yeah.
There it is. So definitely continue to tune in. We are over 500, so thank you very much. We're trying to hit 1,000, and it's going. Ticker's going up pretty fast. I think we're like 516, 517. So we've had more than a few more people sign up. Of course, we have the newsletter. We're nearing 1,500 subscribers on that one. So thank you very much for that. And yeah, we're doing really well this year. I think we're over 64 or 6,500 downloads so far. So we'll probably be past where we're at last year because we were just slightly over 10,000 last year. So yeah, I'm greatly appreciate everybody listening and sharing and all that good stuff. So keep doing that, please. And then hopefully we'll throw some real ads up here pretty soon. Not just anything, right? I'm not trying to sell you vapes and boxers. I'm trying to make sure it's people who can provide you actual, quality and value and things of that nature. So hit up all the websites that go by our name. Hit me up personally. I'm at RyRy Security Guy. That's RYRY Security Guy. You can find me on all the social media platforms. And then where can they find you, Chris?
You can find me on LinkedIn under Chris Abacon, last name spelled A Bacon.
There it is. Stay safe. Stay secure.